everyone, LaToya from Blue Butterfly Creations, and today I have a Copic coloring tutorial for you. I've been working on some fall cards for the upcoming fall season. Yes, I know it's still summer, but fall is my favorite. So here is a card that I did using a very simple stamp with some pumpkins and some ribbon, pattern paper that I got out of a older die cut with a View fall stack. So I'm going to show you how to color my pumpkins here. So what I have is the stamp, and this is actually a stamp by Holly Berry House, and I'm not sure when they put it out. It is an older stamp, as you can see here. And I'm going to ink that up with some Memento Tuxedo black ink. And what I've done is I have a piece of paper that's exactly the same size as the stamp. So it is about 2 3/4 by 5 1/2. So I'm going to ink that up really well. I'll give it a quick check, make sure I got enough ink. What I'm using is my Inkadinkado Stamp-A-Majig, and I'm lining up the paper I'm stamping on in the corner of the Stamp-A-Majig. And I'm just gonna use the Stamp-A-Majig to align my stamp and press. This way I know my stamp is in the center of the paper, and it'll look nice. Now I'm gonna start coloring. And to color this, I am using the YR15 Pumpkin Yellow. And I'm just gonna color in the pumpkins themselves. And I'm being very careful around my edges. Make sure I color it all in. When I edit this, I'm going to speed this up. So I finished with my YR15. I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to pick up my YR68, and this is orange. And I'm going to use this to highlight the detail in the stamp. So where there's the stamp shadow along the base here and the mouth, I'm going to put a little bit of color there to highlight them. This up so you can see where I added in that orange color. Okay. Now I'm going to take my YR31, and this is light reddish yellow, and I'm going to blend out from the center of each pumpkin. So to do that, I'm going to start with swirls in the center of the pumpkin design, and I'm going to do them fast in the center and slower as I get out to the edge. I'm just going to use this marker to pull that darker colored orange, the 68, and blend it into the 15. This also helps me give more of a three-dimensional look. It also gives it a nostalgic look, which is really what I was going for. So I'm starting in the center with heavier, faster circles, lighter towards the outside, smaller circles, blending around the corners, making sure it's all blended in. Same thing, keep going. This also helps to fill in areas in between if I missed anything, coloring in. So again, that was the YR31. I'm going to take my colorless blender, 0, and I'm just going to push some of the color around, making sure that my edges are all tucked in and sharp here, just in case. There we go. I'm going to let you see how that blended out. It gives it more of that nostalgic, older look. Soften the barriers between colors. Now I'm going to use YG95, which is pale olive. I'm going to color in all the leaves. Okay, so I've done the base color in all my leaves. I'm going to take the same marker, the YG95 Pale Olive, and I'm going to go back and add some layers in to draw out some of the detail of the leaves. So I'm just going to go over the center line of the leaves just to make that ridge a little bit darker. So give it some dimension. Alright, so I finished with the YG95. I'm going to lift this up so you can see how this looks so far. There we go, and you can see I've gone back with that YG95 and in the center of all the leaves to give it that dimensional look. Now I'm going to take my E25, which is Caribou Cocoa, and I'm going to do a little bit of the shadow work in the stems. Just adding a little in there. Okay, then I'm going to take my E33, which is sand, and I'm going to blend that darker color out into the rest of the stem. Now I'm going to take my W1, which is the warm gray number 1, and I'm going to go underneath the pumpkins and add shadow underneath. It's going to start thin around the corner here, get a little bit thicker under, up and around. I'm following that black outline of the pumpkins, because shadows are not flat dimension. They are dimensional of whatever object they are of. So I want to keep that dimension. I'm just going to layer a little more. Okay, then I'm going to go in and I am going to add shadow to my pumpkins. I'm going to start on the left side, and this pumpkin overlaps the second one. So I'm going to follow that line, add some shadow. I'm going to do the same thing with the second to third pumpkin, right down that edge. Same thing with the third to the fourth pumpkin, and the fourth to the fifth. Now I'm going to go in and give a little shadow to the leaves that lap over to the pumpkin. So here's one, and I'm just going to follow that edge. So that way I get the dimension of it. Same with this one here on the second, this one here on the third, and this one here on the fifth. Just a little bit of shadow. And there is how I colored my pumpkins for this fall card using Copic markers.